First thing you're going to want to do is take all the cards out of the box, and you're going to want to find these 4 cards right here. 1 Exploding Kitten, and then 3 defused cards. You're going to make sure each player gets 1 defused card, and then you're going to shuffle this defused card and the rest of the cards into one pile, and you're going to deal out 7 more cards to each player. So now each player is going to have a grand total of 8 cards. You're going to take the Exploding Kitten card, and now you're going to shuffle that into this deck right here, set it in the middle, and then decide who's going to go first. But now you're ready to play the game. So each player is going to take their hand of cards. They're going to look at it, but they're going to keep them secret. And on your turn, you're going to have 2 choices. You can either play a card, or you could pass and be done. So what is playing a card? It's really quite simple. You're going to take a card, you're going to read it out loud, you put it down here into the discard pile, and you do whatever that card tells you to do. I'll explain what every card does more in depth after I teach you the basics of the game. Once you've completed the action, you can play another card, or you can pass. So what this means is if you don't want to play any of your cards at all on a turn, that's perfectly fine. If you want to play all the cards that you could possibly play on your turn, that's perfectly fine as well. But at the end of either doing one of those 2 things, playing cards or passing, you always have to draw 1 card. Now, 99% of the time, that's not going to be a big deal because it's just going to be a plain old card. However, eventually what will happen is someone will draw the Exploding Kittens card. Now, whoever draws this card has to play a defused card. That is the only card that will save you. Now, you play the defused card, it'll go into the discard pile, which will be right next to the draw pile. But then, that player who played the defused card is now going to secretly place the Exploding Kitten anywhere they want to into the pile of cards. Now, you can't rearrange or look at any of these cards, but you can put it exactly where you want it. If you want it at the bottom, if you want it at the top, if you want 3 cards down, you do it however you please. And then it moves on to the next player's turn, who, once again, as we always say, either play as many of the cards as they want to, and then pass, or just pass without playing any cards at all. But you continue going back and forth until one player draws the Exploding Kittens card, and they don't have a defused card, at which point they have lost the game, the other player has won, and hooray. So you're technically ready to play right now, but I do want to go over all the different cards and also talk to you about some variants they recommend mixing in once you've played a game of Exploding Kittens. So the first special card you'll see is Skip, and this one makes it so you don't have to draw an Exploding Kitten card, but it ends your turn immediately. Next we have Attack, which makes it so that you don't actually draw a card at the end of your turn like normal, but the next person has to draw 2 cards, because they're going to be taking 2 turns. Now, if the victim of an attack card plays another attack card on either of their turns, the other player must take any remaining turns plus the number of attacks on the attack cards. So holding on to these ones could be a really good idea. Next, we have See the Future, which lets you sneak a peek at the top 3 cards of the draw pile, and then put them back in that exact same order. Next is Nope, which lets you stop any action except for the Exploding Kitten or defuse action. And yes, a Nope can be played on top of another Nope, which can be played on top of another Nope, and Nopes can be played on other people's turns. Next, we have Favor, which when you play it makes it so that your opponent has to give you one of their cards, with them choosing which card you receive. And last but not least, we have what are called the cat cards, the Taco Cat, the Beard Cat, and the Rainbow Ralphing Cat. And how this works is you have to have a pair of the cards in order to play them. So right now, I could play any of these, but if I were to draw another Taco Cat, then I could play these. And what these pairs do, all 3 of them, they allow you to steal 1 card from your opponent, just randomly pluck it out of their hand. And those are all the special ability cards in the game. But I also want to mention the special variants and combos that you can play with after you played your first game, or potentially if you're a wild card playing it now. The first special variant is called 2 of a Kind, and it makes it so that any pair of cards, not just the cat cards, if you get rid of 2 of them, will allow you to steal an opponent's card. So let's say, for instance, Seeing the Future really wasn't your thing. You could turn in 2 Seeing the Future cards to randomly steal an opponent's card, and you would just discard those 2 cards at the same time, like a normal action. Now, the other variant is called 3 of a Kind, and if you discard 3 of any of the same card, you get to name a card, and if your opponent has that card, they must give you one. If they don't have it, you get nothing. And on both the 2 of a Kind and the 3 of a Kind, whenever you would discard action cards this way, you wouldn't get to do the action. So if I discarded 3 See the Future cards in order to do a 3 of a Kind, I would not get to see the future 3 times. I wouldn't even get to do it once.